Okay, thank you for being here. We're not going to have questions tonight. We will be going out. We will be doing 5 hearings. So we will be in the communities. We'll be out talking about this. So write down all your questions and get at us then, okay? All right, thank you. And I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to start with Dustin.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited that the city of Syracuse, my hometown, is considering this. I grew up on South Collingwood Ave in Eastwood, which was in the 5th Common Council district. And then when I came back to Syracuse, I lived on Court Street, right on the west side of Court Street, so I was just inside the 2nd Council district. And then I moved to Oak Street, which was in the 1st Council district. Then lived over in Strathmore on Hubble Ave in the 3rd Council district, and now I'm on the east side again, back in the 5th Council district. So I've hit almost all of them. I didn't get the 4th yet. Maybe when I retire and I can go to downtown living, I can end up in the 4th district. But the reason I say that is, I've seen this community grow, and so many different changes that have happened to the city of Syracuse. And as I became commissioner, and I got to see the voting patterns and which communities are registering and who in those communities are registering, it became very clear to me that our 5 Common Council districts have not been touched in a very long time, and may not be representing all of the communities as well as they could be. And while our map, is not as selective as some other maps that we might have in our community, it does need addressing. And the best way to do this, as we're looking at the national talk about gerrymandering, and talking about unfair districts, and talking about representatives selecting their people instead of people selecting their representatives. The best way to move forward, in my opinion, in any level of government, is independent redistricting. And for Syracuse to put their stamp on this would be a big boon for the city that I've grown up in and loved. And it won't just be good for Syracuse. It'll be a beacon that we can show to other governments in the county, in the state, and along the whole eastern seaboard about what we can do here and what a progressive change this can be for our city and for our citizens. The great thing about the approach that we're having is that after we change the charter, and I do have to stress that we do have to move on this, because we have to have this into the Board of Elections by July 8th with the new law that has been passed, so we can't wait too long to pass the charter change and then put it before the voters and get it on the ballot for this year. But if we do this, then we get this second opportunity to craft an ordinance that is good for the city of Syracuse. I think the City of Austin motto is the gold standard. It really fits well into our own city structure. The City of Austin motto relies on a city auditor to help select by random the commission members, and then the commission members select the other half of that to fill out the needs of diversity and members of each district. I think that is something that we have a city auditor. It already fits right into our model. We have a New York State. If we need to hire auditors to help with this, we have a New York State Public Board of Auditing, like Texas does as well. So we have a great option that has already been crafted, and we already saw how it worked and how well it worked. I hope that the City Council will look at the Austin model after we pass the charter change, and if the voters approve it, look to adopt that model with caveats and changes to make it right for the city of Syracuse in January. And I think if we do this, if the city of Syracuse leads by example. Susan has been great to go over the process, so I'm going to talk about what it's going to do for our community. I think it will engage our citizens. Urban centers always have a problem with voter turnout, and a lot of that is because we don't engage with our citizenry. This will have the citizens draw districts that reflect their own communities. Will it look like the map that is over there? Maybe. Maybe there will only be minor changes. Maybe there will be more structural changes. The 5 districts will stay the same, but maybe they'll change in the way and shape that the communities want. But the best thing about that is the communities are going to decide that. And they're not going to decide it based on incumbency. They're not going to decide it based on partisanship, because these are going to be districts that we live with for the next 10 years. And when they go out there and they make this choice, then they're invested in it. And the process after they make this choice, engaging the community and coming back to the council, that is going to further invest the rest of the citizenry in their leadership. And I think that that can only be a good and proper use of government power. And a lot of people have said, well, the council is giving up its power by doing this. I would say that you are showing how to use power by example, because you are going out there and you're saying this is what's best for the community, not best for the Common Council, not best for these councilors. And you're using that power to do what you were sent here to do, which is to represent the citizens of the city of Syracuse and give them a further voice in your selective process. So I urge the council to take a look at the ordinance that has been drafted before you. I have to thank Joe Barry, who's been really helpful in putting this together, along with Common Council President Helen Hudson, who's been pushing for this and pestering just as much as I've been pestering President Hudson. But this has been a long standing issue, and I think whatever maps that we come up with in this independent redistricting and the process that we come up with is going to be able to be shown to other governments that this is the proper way to handle this vital and necessary function of our democracy. So thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Ryan.